Welcome to Azeroth United, a weekly podcast about World of Warcraft. My name is Denethar, and I am your host.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Tuesday night in Azeroth, and we have a great show lined up for you. We're going to be talking about toxicity in gaming. And I know this is kind of a sensitive topic, so just be forewarned, this is going to be frustrating, I'm sure, for some people to talk about. But I do think it's important for us to kind of get into this topic and make sure that we are having open conversations about it, because it is important that we're all at least aware of what's going on. So there's been a lot of conversation in the WoW community over the last week and a half or so about this particular topic, and whether or not people want to discuss it, it is a valid and important topic that we need to address. So we're going to do so tonight. We also have a ton of news. We've got patch 12.1 news. We've got WoW D&D maybe happening. We've got all sorts of things that are going on. We've got, the Gen Con conversation. Gen Con's happening this weekend. So lots going on tonight in Azeroth United. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Before I get into all of the news, I will do a quick rundown of what I got up to last week in World of Warcraft. So here's the thing. I've been kind of dabbing in various versions of WoW for the past, couple months. I am raiding on TBC Anniversary, and I'm having a really good time. I have a really good guild that I'm part of, really great raid group. They're really great people. But I'm not just sitting around blindly leveling up alts in TBC. I have my paladin who's 63 or 64, my warrior who's 66, and a mage and a druid. So, I've got characters that are kind of sitting around, but and this is one of the reasons why I keep bringing this topic up about Classic. I don't really feel like anywhere is a comfortable home right now where it's like, I'm going to set up roots here. Because we still don't know if Anniversary is going to Wrath. Probably it is. But then what? After Wrath, then what are we doing? Are we continuing on? Do I even want to go to Wrath? Do I want to go that direction? If we get Classic Plus, what are we going to do differently? All that to say, I've been kind of looking for a new project. And I thought I was going to make that Midnight. I thought I was going to get into Midnight and really kind of push my way through some of the systems. I love doing the delves. The prey is a lot of fun, but every time I log on to Midnight, I'm kind of struck with that same feeling, which is there's an overwhelming amount of things to do. I still don't have a fully geared character. My Death Knight has one piece of adventurer gear still because I can't upgrade things. So I've been a little frustrated with that. I don't know what to do. I want to be able to just log on to WoW and be like, ooh, I can't wait to jump into whatever this project is that I've been working on. What character that I'm leveling, max level character that I'm gearing up, running Mythic Plus, running raids, whatever it is. I've been looking for something to kind of supplement my WoW journey. So this weekend or last week, my daughter came to me, my youngest daughter, and said, oh yeah, I finally scratched that WoW itch that I've had for a while, and she's played since she was a kid. She actually learned how to read by doing quests in WoW. So take that, teachers. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. And she's like, yeah, I rolled a character on Classic, and I thought that was not on my bingo card. But she did. So she rolled a character on Classic Era, Night Elf Priest, because in her words, she just wanted to experience that again. That was what she was looking for. She was looking for that particular experience, not she wants to raid. She wants to do X, Y, and Z. Because I told her, I said, well, if you want to play Classic, I'm on TBC Anniversary and you could just level and it's the same leveling experience, but I'm there and I can help you out with stuff if you need. And she's like, no, I just want to do Classic, casual, and kind of do my thing. And I thought, okay, great. So she did that, and she rolled on one of the era servers, and so I looked to see, and I didn't have any characters on that server, so I did what any good dad would do. I started a new character. So I've been playing a paladin, human paladin, which there's nothing new there, but it's something. It's like putting on an old pair of shoes, and they just fit right. I don't know what it is. But going through the human starting zone, I mean, it could just as easily be playing The Legend of Zelda or playing through Super Metroid once again. One of those old games that I've played a million times, but every now and then I want to just go through and do the whole thing from start to finish. And so that's what I've been doing. I've been logging on to Classic Era, not TBC, not Anniversary, not SOD, not anything, not hardcore, just regular old Classic Era. And honestly, I'm on a server where there's not a lot of people. I checked the auction house and there's not much there. I'm actually surprised that Blizzard hasn't consolidated all of the era realms into one mega realm. I guess it's hard to do from a technical standpoint, but yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I've been playing this paladin and just really having a good time because I'm able to just kind of turn my brain off and go. And it's that comfort of going through and helping out the two lovers from the different farms, the families that are fighting with each other, and passing notes or clearing out the kobolds, dealing with the Defias Brotherhood, the beginnings of that storyline that unfortunately we never really got a true conclusion to. It's so comforting to me, and it's so rewarding to be able to just go and, oh, I got a green. How fun is this? Yeah, it's not quite like hardcore where you can't just do whatever you want to do. I've died 4 or 5 times already because I'm not taking it seriously. I'm just relaxing. And it's relaxing. When I am just running across Elwyn Forest, making my way to Westfall, it really hits just right. So that's what I've been doing in WoW this week, is just relaxing with that. I did raid TBC. We did raid this past week. We did a pretty good job with clear. We did what did we do? 8 out of 10 first night. And then the second night we had to clear Moragrim and Vosh, and then we ran and killed Mechtherodon and Gruul. So it was a really good raid week. I did cap off Saturday night's raid with a pretty big deal. We killed Gruul and he dropped a DST, which, if you are familiar with classic or TBC rating, Dragonspine Trophy is one of those things that for melee or physical damage classes, it's oftentimes your best in slot item just until phase 6. So it's a really big deal, and our other 200s already have it. Our rogue already has it. So the question was it going to go to me or one of the enhancement shaman? So they did loot, and when we do loot council, our 3 raid leaders go into a separate channel to discuss everything. And so everybody just sits around and waits. And usually at the end of raid, people bounce because they're like, yeah, I don't care about this loot, or, I don't need anything. Every single person stayed there. There was 25 people standing around Gruul's Lair going, who's going to get the DST? So, yeah, it was, I don't know, about 5-10 minutes, about 10 minutes, I say, of deliberations before they finally came back into the Discord channel. And, yeah, I won the DST. So, yeah, that was pretty exciting. I feel really good about that. And, we've got Black Temple coming up in a few weeks, or I guess it's about a month. So yeah, that's really fun. I'll tell you, I used to religiously level alts because I needed one of these and I needed one of these, and there's nothing compelling enough in TBC to get me to level a bunch of alts and to create, my profession alts and all these things. But I'm kind of at the point where, I'm spending 200 plus gold a week on flasks. So, flasks and elixirs and food and everything. I might have to start doing something because I'm gonna bleed dry. So I made a bunch of money a couple weeks ago before I went on vacation, and I'm just eating through it now. So but yeah, I got my DST. I've got my full tier 5 armor sets. Hunter's looking pretty good for phase 3. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to Black Temple. Mount Hyjal can kiss my ass, but Black Temple is going to be a lot of fun. So, and we'll get into all of the Black Temple stuff in a few weeks, but that's where I am now. So anyway, that was my week in World of Warcraft. Nothing groundbreaking, just a nice, casual, relaxing adventure, followed by my hunter carrying around a literal dragon's spine. So there's that. Anyway, that's what I got up to this week. So, all right, let's settle in for the news.
It's time for the news.
In Blizzard news, so first off, Dark Legacy Comics has called it. If you're not familiar with Dark Legacy Comics, it's a webcomic series. It's been around for since 2006. It mostly just kind of pokes fun and satirizes a lot of the tropes about WoW players and things like that. It's actually pretty funny. It's a 4-panel comic, nothing too extraordinary. The person who's been doing it is just, they want to do something that is not related to a WoW IP, because I guess it's probably easier for them to just kind of focus on their own thing. So they will still do the occasional comic probably, but they are going to call it. They've got their 1000th comic edition coming out, or the 1000th comic strip that they've done. And that's going to be it. So it says here, created in 2006, the comic follows members of the Dark Legacy Guild on a series of mostly standalone gags and adventures featuring a recurring cast of NPCs and fellow players, satirizing various elements of World of Warcraft. Releasing almost every Sunday for the past 20 years, the comics have been immensely popular view into many of the activities, tropes, attitudes, and beliefs within the game, from damage meters to Mythic Plus, customizable player UIs, the experience of melee versus range combat, and even vendor mounts. So there you go. If you've ever enjoyed Dark Legacy Dark Legacy Comics, it's a sad day. If you haven't, I will put a link to them. It's definitely worth checking out. I've seen myself in plenty of those comic strips. So, it's like when Calvin and Hobbes ended its run, and it was like, wait a minute, no, you've got to keep doing these. Even though I wasn't reading it every week, I just, knowing that was the end was sad. So stuff like this, yeah, it's always sad when something that beloved goes away, but he's still gonna be around doing his own thing. But it's this is the end for now. So okay. In other news, so WoW had reported this. It was an article from N-World talking about a botched or early leaked announcement for Gen Con. So Gen Con is a tabletop RPG convention. It's happening in Indianapolis this weekend. There was, I forget who it was that was supposed to do it, but somebody was going to post, or had a post that they had prepared and actually posted a little early. And basically what it is there's going to be a crossover from Dungeons and Dragons and World of Warcraft. So more than likely what'll happen is it'll be a World of Warcraft edition Dungeons and Dragons, and you'll be able to play with all of the WoW classes, WoW races, and such. There was a WoW RPG before. There's I forget when it was published. It was old. It's a long time ago. And so more than likely this one will be kind of a similar type thing where there's going to be new lore that's created. That new lore will not be real lore. It's exclusive to the RPG, more than likely. So it's this is the type of thing that old Blizzard used to do a lot of, and they stopped doing it because of, I don't even know why. Maybe it was because of Activision or other reasons, but yeah, I think Microsoft is kind of turning that back on. They're like, no, let's partner up with some of these people and get some more attention on World of Warcraft, which I think is great. So, yeah, potential Dungeons and Dragons crossover with World of Warcraft coming, and that's pretty exciting stuff. Related to that, if you recall the YouTube web series, The Guild, starring Felicia Day, and it was about a guild playing a World of Warcraft-like game, a guild of 6 people, and it was their adventures, raiding, and some personal drama that went on. And I think it was 4 or 5 seasons that the series went on. There were some rumblings that it was coming back. Felicia Day started doing the interview circuit, and there was a lot of rumors about what was going to show up. Well, we now know what is happening. So they have put out a Kickstarter. They say, help us celebrate the Guild's upcoming 20th anniversary by making the most epic Ren Fair movie of all time. So they are doing The Guild Goes to Ren Fair movie, which I think is fantastic. I talked about this show a lot when I did the interview with Greybeard a few months back. He was in the WoW guild for the Guild, the Knights of Good, and it's one of those things that it was an early WoW thing that a lot of people were really into. Felicia Day was a notorious WoW player and actually really struggled in Hollywood because of her WoW addiction, and so she had to overcome that, and that's one of the ways that she did it was through putting that energy into the web series. So here's the thing: they put out their Kickstarter, and their goal was to reach $1.5 million. As of right now, I just hit refresh on the page. They are at $3,908,249 of their $1,500,000 goal. And there's still 24 days to go. 25,224 backers. They actually have quite a bit of merch associated with this. So they've got a lot of merch that's going out. They have, there's actually some really cool packages that they had put together that are already completely sold out from the Kickstarter. So, if you recall the show, or if you've never watched it and you're like, well, I don't know what that is, go back and watch it. I think it's on YouTube. And it's, let's see, how do I describe it? It's like a early 2000s or mid 2000s YouTube series about World of Warcraft. So it is a little awkward at times. The acting is a little suspect, but the characters are all very clear WoW player archetypes, not just the WoW character archetypes, but the archetypes of the WoW players. And it's, I don't know. I thought it was a great show. I really enjoyed it, and it's great to see them making a comeback. So, check that out. And if you're interested in donating, great. If not, just wait for the project to make its way. I mean, they obviously haven't filmed anything. They're still fundraising, but, yeah, they've definitely met their goal. They had posted their initial goal was 1.5 million, and then beyond that, they had some stretch goals. So their stretch goal for 3 million was to be able to film in LA, so they could get some celebrity cameos. They've already announced that Nathan Fillion is going to be making a cameo in the movie. If you don't know Nathan Fillion, he was on Firefly, the TV series, and Serenity, the movie. He's been on TV for a long time. He did Castle, which is a TV series, for a while, and now he's on the TV series called The Rookie. He's been in the Guardians of the Galaxy. He was in the Suicide Squad. He's done a lot of things, and he seems like a really cool guy. So it's great to know that he's going to be in there. Misha Collins, also, if you know him from, oh God, now I can't remember the name of the show. Supernatural. He's the angel, Castiel on Supernatural. So he's also going to be in there. And then, of course, returning is the great Will Wheaton, who played the evil enemy guildmaster, their arch nemesis in the original series. So I'm really looking forward to this. And there's going to be, Felicia Day herself is going to be at Gen Con, so I'm sure we'll get some additional information about it from that. So, yeah, check that out. I'll put the link to the Kickstarter in the show notes as well if you are interested in that. Lots of really cool merch and things that you can get. So, yeah, check that out. All right, let's move on. We've got some. We're going to skip all the classic WoW stuff. We'll do that probably next week. All right, in modern WoW. Patch 12.1 launch date has been confirmed, August 11th. Season 2 will start August 18th. This is the date that 99% of the player base had expected. This is the exact 8-week patch cadence following from patch 12.0.7. It lined up perfectly with the Race to World First ending before BlizzCon. Everything's coming up Millhouse. So, yeah, patch 12.1. The Curse of Ulatek will be here on August 11th. As far as the actual what we're going to get on August 11th versus what we're getting in the start of season 2. So August 11th, we're going to get a few new things. So we're going to get the new zone, which is the Coiled Isle. We're going to get the new dungeon, Altar of Fangs. We're going to get the new layer, the Tidebound Grotto. This is the world boss. And it's going to have scaling difficulty. So you can choose from world, normal, hero, or mythic. Only world difficulty is going to be available that first week. The rest will be available after the start of season 2. So we're going to get the new layer. We're going to get all of the new dungeon rotation. So that's Altar of Fangs, which is the new dungeon, Murder Row, Den of Nalarak, the Blinding Veil, Voidscar Arena, King's Rest from Battle for Azeroth, Temple of Sethrilis from Battle for Azeroth, and Ruby Life Pools from Dragonflight. We're going to get Prey Season 2, normal and hard modes, but Nightmare won't show up until Season 2. We're going to get Delves Season 2, which will be able to go up as high as you want, but you won't get any bountiful Delves. And we're going to get Training Grounds for Arenas. That's all going to be on August 11th. August 18th, start of season 2. That's going to be the Venomous Abyss raid. This is the new 8-boss raid featuring Ulatek as the final boss. We're going to get normal, heroic, and mythic, plus Raid Finder Wing 1. Mythic, obviously, being in the first week means that we're not going to have heroic week, so it's going to be kind of a scramble for the Race to World First skills. But this is how Blizzard has been doing it the last couple of expansions, last few patches, where mythic will be available. So the first raid of the expansion will have heroic week, but the subsequent ones will not. I don't know why they do it like that, but that's what they're doing. So yeah, and again, the Tidebound Grotto, which is the new layer, and the boss is Nimrissa Wavecaller. So yeah, whatever that means. So that's going to be available normal, heroic, and mythic. And Mythic will be flexible scaling. So just like Sporefall, it'll have the same idea, which is you'll be able to go from 15 to 25 on Mythic difficulty, which will be great for those Mythic guilds. I will not be doing it on Mythic difficulty because it's too hard for me. Mythic Plus Season 2, PvP Season 2, Delves Season 2, Bountiful Delves and Keys, Prey Season 2, Nightmare Mode, and Curse of the Isle, and the Great Vault Season 2 gear will all launch on August 18th. Following there, August 25th, we're going to get the Venomous Abyss Raid Finder Wing 2 and Story Mode for whatever it's worth. Week of September 1st, we're going to get the Venomous Abyss Raid Finder Wing 3, and the week of September 8th will be the Venomous Abyss Raid Finder Wing 4. So there you go. That's what's coming in a couple weeks, actually. August 11th is 2 weeks from now as I'm recording this, so not a lot of time to prepare for. I mean, it feel like everything is going so fast, and it is. It feels like it because it is going fast, but that's how Blizzard wants it. So that's what we're doing. So, yeah. Patch 12.1, the Curse of Ulatek will launch August 11th. Okay. Let's talk about this. This whole Mythic Plus controversy. So we touched on it last week, and I talked about what had occurred, what the speculations were, what we were expecting was going to happen with all of this. If you missed last week's episode, basically what happened is there was a plus 23 Nexus Point Zenith, and during that, at some point, a friend of one of the players or some of the players in there who was also a Blizzard employee, used a Blizzard development tool known as Area Death to kill one of the mobs so that they could time the key. Obviously, this is a big deal, and a lot of people have talked about this ad nauseum. Every content creator has had a take of some sort, or most content creators, I should say, have had a take of some sort on this, where they go, here's what I think about this particular thing happening. I don't like to get caught up in the details of this specific incident, because really, that's not important. We weren't there. We don't know exactly what happened. But what we do know is that, one, that person has been fired. And we know that because Blizzard said it. Blizzard confirmed that the recent accusation of an employee helping players in Mythic Plus run, that employee has been fired, and they are taking action against the complicit players. They're not saying what that action is, but we have heard from at least one other streamer that it sounds like it was a 1-month suspension or ban from the game. So just long enough to not be able to get title, I guess, for season 1. But yeah, that's what it is. Blizzard's post says, as we mentioned, we internally monitored and confirmed a recent incident in which a World of Warcraft group gained an unfair advantage by abuse of access to development-only spells on a live realm. Our tools confirmed what was also surfaced in community discussions, and we have investigated the incident carefully. We can confirm that this was the action of a single Blizzard employee in violation of our code of conduct. This employee is no longer with the company, effective immediately. We are also taking action against the player accounts that were complicit in this violation. It has always been the case that a small number of Blizzard employees can use developer tools and spells on live servers. This lets us test and make urgent fixes to the live game when they're needed. Every use of these internal spells and commands on live realms is logged and shared with our platform security team to help ensure that the occasional use of this access is warranted. The use of development tools for anything other than development work is against company policy. It's because of the process we have in place around use of these tools that we're confident this incident was isolated to one individual. We want to thank those of you in the WoW community who reached out with the information and real concern for the integrity of the game, as well as the community sites that are working to remove the results of this violation from their records. When your findings line up with ours, it helps confirm that our tools are catching what they should, and we're grateful for the way we work alongside you all to protect the game and each other. So, that's what Blizzard said. Now, I have to say, when it comes to the integrity of the game, I do believe Blizzard when they say that this was isolated to one person, a one-time deal. They have things logged, they have it tracked. I know, because I work in IT, that when you do something big, there's a log. And if I need to find out, hey, who did this? I can look at the log and it says, oh, this person right here did it. It says it right here. And they did it at 12:08 PM, and they did it whatever. That's how it works. Anybody who thinks that they can get away with something in the modern era is mistaken. Everything is logged and tracked. So the fact that this happened at all is mind-boggling to me, because by what Blizzard said, based on their words, it sounds like this wasn't just a new person that they had hired last week. This is somebody who was one of a small number of Blizzard employees that can use developer tools and spells on live servers, which means this person has spent time gaining trust and really putting effort into their job. And to throw it all away to impress their friends, it makes no sense. And I get it. Sometimes you do dumb things. I've done plenty of dumb things. And if the rumors are true that this person did this to impress their favorite streamer, I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate. But again, we've all done stupid things to impress someone, and especially someone that maybe we like. So I'm not excusing their actions. I'm saying that it's a very human moment, but it's also very, very stupid. You can't possibly think you can get away with that. A lot of people were saying the only reason that it was caught was because some but he uploaded the logs to Warcraft logs. And I think that's what put it to Blizzard's attention. But it's also possible that this would have been handled behind the scenes by Blizzard if it hadn't been on Warcraft logs. Imagine, if you will, nobody logs this. It just happens behind the scenes. No one ever knows about it, right? But Blizzard sees it because they audit those logs. Those logs get audited. And a lot of times that's the type of thing that AI is being used for. You say, hey, AI, can you give me a summary of this log and look for any anomalies? Here's the list of anomalies we want you to look for. Go. And it scans through the 25 million lines of log, and it goes, here's your 3 anomalies. And so they go through and they check each one and they go, wait a minute, this happened in a Mythic plus 23. What the heck? Hey, Bob, why did you do this? Oh, right. So that's how it probably would have played out. Bob would have been fired and no one would have known anything about it because it would have all happened behind the scenes. But because this person logged the bear tank in this particular instance, because he logged the run and uploaded it to Warcraft logs, the community now knows that this happened. And so Blizzard had to come out and they had to say it because otherwise, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it if you're playing Midnight at all and you've gone into the group finder looking for, GM to help me with a plus 22, looking for, Blizz employee to, and yes, people are joking. They're not actually expecting a GM to show up and help them with something. Another thing that's really interesting is that Blizzard very carefully did not use the word GM or Game Master. They did not say that at all. All they said was an employee and developer tools. This doesn't sound like your run-of-the-mill GM who can teleport and show up and do the things that we've all talked about. Oh, remember when GMs used to do this, that, and the other thing? This isn't that. This might still be a game master, but this also could be a developer, somebody who's actually designing the game or working on testing some things for the game. This might not even be a game master because if you're doing testing, you can go into the game and you can teleport yourself wherever you want. You have access to those commands. And if only certain people have access to this special command, it could be a senior employee. It could be somebody who's been at the company for 5 years, 10 years, who's managed to dodge every single round of layoffs. And now they screw it up. It's just so frustrating to see this and to know. And like I said last week, I wish there was a better way that Mythic Plus could deal with this. We shouldn't be at a place where people feel like they have to, I don't want to do a homework key, or, oh my gosh, we got to time this so that we can get title. And there's rumors that this person who the bear tank, who is not part of who is not actually friends with the rest of them, was paying for a run. And so then in order for them to successfully complete the run that this person was paying for, they asked the Blizzard employee for help. However this ends up, and I think this is going to be the end of it from Blizzard's standpoint. Obviously, the community is going to keep talking about this for the next couple of weeks, at least until BlizzCon. This will be the big news. But however this ends up, I really hope that Blizzard takes stock of Mythic Plus and says, how do we want to have this system work going forward? Because the way it's working right now, to me, it's not working. It's getting by. Mythic Plus is a struggle. It's not in a great place. And used to be my favorite game mode. Now it's all about how high can you push your keys? How fast can you go? If you don't 3-chest it, what's the point? That sort of thing. And it's not fun. I don't enjoy Mythic Plus, which is honestly one of the reasons why I stopped playing Modern WoW. I was raiding in the War Within Season 1. I started raiding in the War Within Season 2. By Season 3, I just didn't care anymore. Because if I'm not running Mythic Plus, I'm going to be behind on my gearing. And so I didn't want to run Mythic Plus. So, there we go. That's the current state of this. So the Blizzard employee was fired, and probably at least some of the players are going to be banned. We don't know for how long, but the current rumor out there from J.B is 1 month. So there you go. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about something fun. The Warcraft social media account has teased to us that Jimothy is coming to World of Warcraft. If you don't know who Jimothy is a raccoon from Seattle. His name is not actually Jimothy. That's just what the internet started calling him. He has a shortened spine, so he looks kind of weird. He looks like a little goblin running around. I mean, raccoons already look like goblins, but he looks even weirder. And so, yeah, people started calling him Jimothy. This was I think it was an Instagram post that went 2 weeks ago. And so Blizzard jumped on that and they said, yep, and they showed a preview of Jimothy in World of Warcraft. So we don't know how we're going to get Jimothy, but he is coming to Azeroth and we'll be able to get him. And that's pretty dang cool. I love that Blizzard does this, where they kind of keep an eye on social media and on the pulse of what people are talking about. You know, there's been a lot of conversation about how the internet brought about the death of the American monoculture, where Americans don't all think that we don't all watch the same TV show anymore. We don't all do the same things. Sometimes stuff like this happens, and while not everyone's going to see it, it does get out there. And I mean, I said something about this to my wife about Jimothy, and she was like, "Oh, the raccoon." It's like, yeah, she already knew. So, yeah, if you want a weird looking deformed raccoon pet in WoW, you're in luck. So there you go. Yeah, that's just kind of a weird post. Like, huh, okay, that's happening. Okay, let's talk about the end of Midnight Season 1. So now that we know the launch date for Season 2, we now know that Season 1 is going to end, and it usually ends the Monday before the launch of the patch. So that's when most of these achievements and things will go away. But here's the list of things that are going to be going away with the release of Season 2. So you've got 2 weeks to get all of this stuff done. So if you are working on something and you're like, well, I guess I could try it. If you haven't done it, now's the time. So Blizzard put out this blog post. And it was a ton of stuff in there, and I've tried to consolidate it down a little bit because I don't need to read every single one of these. But basically, every single ahead of the curve for the first 3 midnight raids. So that's the Dream Rift, the Void Spire, and March on Quel'Danas. So ahead of the curve and cutting edge for both of those are going to be going away. Also, the decor items from each of those. So there's a decor item that you can get from normal or raid finder, and then one you can get from heroic, and then one you can get from mythic. So if you run mythic, you'll get all 3. Or whatever. So those will all be going away as well. And it's just a little trophy for the boss. And it looks a little different depending on which version or which difficulty you got. So those are all going away as of probably the Monday before. So what is it? The 10th of August. Additionally, Mythic Plus feats of strength that are going away. All of the Midnight Keystones for Season 1, Explorer, Conqueror, Master, Hero, Legend, Myth. Man, they have so many of these now. I remember when it was just Keystone Master. That was the pinnacle, which is a 2,000 rating. So there's a few mounts in there if you want to get those mounts. There's actually 2 mounts. So there's the Calamitous Carry-On mount and the for 2,000 rating, and the Convalescent Carry-On mount for 3,000 rating. There's the 3,400 rating, which is the Keystone Myth, and that's going to give you the Time Lost Saddle, so that you can pick one of the previous season's mounts. You'll also get the title of the Umbral Contender for 3,400 rating. The title mount, the top 1%, Umbral Ashes, and then the top 1.1%, which is the Umbral Hero, that is going to be going away as well. All of the dungeon teleports will be going away: Algathar Academy, Magister's Terrace, Mysara Caverns, Nexus Point Zenith, Pit of Sauron, Seat of the Triumvirate, Skyreach, and Windrunner Spire. You need to run them on a 10 at least in order to get the teleports. I will say that all of those, Seat of the Triumvirate is probably the most useful one, because I'd love to be able to just have an instant teleport to Argus. I think that'd be really cool. Just saying. Skyreach would be cool too. Algathar Academy, and that's right next to Valdrakken, so that's not that great. But yeah, I mean, if you want those portals, from what people say, and like I said, I haven't been doing Mythic Plus this for the past few seasons, but a 10 is not that difficult. As long as you have a general idea of the dungeon and what you're supposed to do, they are actually pretty easy. So there you go. Your Resilient Keystone achievements are all going away as well. So it's Resilient Keystone 12. I think it goes up to 30. So those are all going away. Mounts. So there's 2 mounts that you can get in Mythic Plus right now, which is from Magister Terrace and Windrunner Spire. So those will be going away until the next expansion, when those are available on Mythic 0. So they just will not be available until those dungeons come back as a Mythic 0. So if Blizzard does like they did with The War Within Season 3, where they have people vote, it's possible we could get them to come back. But if not, then they will be available in the Last Titan once they are back down to Mythic 0 level. Let's see what else is coming. Achievements. So with the upcoming changes to Temple of Sethrolis in Midnight Season 2, following achievements will be going away. Snake Eyes. Activate both eyes to exit the bazaar in the Temple of Sethrolis within 10 seconds on Mythic difficulty. Snake Eater. Force the solid egg to hatch during the Merektha encounter. Defeat the solid snake and become the Snake Eater in the Temple of Sethrolis on Mythic difficulty. And Goodnight, Sweet Prince. Restore the avatar of Sethrolis with the prince active in the Temple of Sethrolis on Mythic difficulty. I'll tell you right now, I've only run this on Time Walking, and this dungeon sucks ass. So no offense to the Snake of Vol'dun, but yeah, Temple of Sethrolis can kiss my ass. All right. And then finally, the seasonal achievements that are going to be going away. Midnight Season 1 Champion of the Dawn, which is the one that requires you to get 1600 rating in PvP or 2000 rating in Mythic Plus, or to defeat Midnight Falls in March on Quel'Danas on Heroic or Mythic difficulty. That's going to be going away. In addition, Light of the Party, which is one where you get your shoulder glows, that's going away. That's to do it on Mythic, 2500 rating, or Elite from PvP. Midnight Season 1 Catalyst Unbound. Unlock your class set bonuses during Midnight Season 1. I should probably do that. That one I can actually do. All of your Dawncrest's achievements for Midnight Season 1, Adventurer, Veteran, whatever. Those are going away. Big Prey Hunter Season 1 to complete the Season 1 Prey journey. That's going away. And your Delve achievements, My Shady Nemesis, to kill Nullius, Lighting the Dark, to defeat him on ? And Let Me Solo him on ? Those are all going away. There's a ton of PvP mounts, titles, feats of strength, achievements, whatever, that are going away. I'm not going to go through all those because I don't PvP, and so it's just going to be me awkwardly reading stuff that I don't understand. So just use your imagination and know that all the seasonal PvP achievements are going away as well. So there you go. All right. One last thing that I wanted to touch on before we move on to what's still in the PTR changes that are going, is the music. So the music for Curse of Illutech has been picked up by Wowhead, and I got to tell you right now, this music goes hard. It's really good. I did a similar segment where I talked about the music in the Undermine. And one of the things with music in World of Warcraft, Blizzard does such a good job of hiring the right composer who gets the right tone, who gets the right feel. It passes the vibe check. And this music is really good. Not all of it's going to be a home run, but from what I've listened to so far, it's really good. Do yourself a favor, check it out. Put it on the background while you're working, or have it on your headphones. If you're not listening to Azeroth United, pop in, or one of the other great podcasts out there, pop in some of this music from the new raid, and it's really good. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. It's good. I don't know what it is about these middle patches, because the same thing happened with like I said, with Undermine, where the music was just so good. And then we had like the flop music, which was the Ghost of Koresh. I don't know what it was, but yeah, this music really good. So definitely check it out. I hope you enjoy it. All right, let's move on to, actually, there's a couple of things that are coming up on the PTR. So the first one is Blizzard has increased Mythic Plus creature health in Season 2. In Season 2, you'll see slightly increased creature health pools, a larger emphasis on skills like target prioritization and damage checks, and some abilities trading raw damage effects for penalties to damage output or mobility. We still want dungeons to move at a good pace. The health changes are there, so priority targets, cooldown usage, and damage checks have more room to matter. Tanks and healers will still have plenty to manage, but success should feel more evenly shared across the group. After reviewing PTR data, we've increased creature health in Mythic Plus by 4%. Continue to monitor and make tuning adjustments as necessary. This one's really tough because on the one hand, more health means it's going to take longer, which means people are going to be not timing keys, which means there's going to be a lot of frustration. On the other hand, there's been a lot of discussion about people being able to actually utilize their full rotation. And yeah, okay, so maybe it doesn't matter if you're doing a plus 23 and the mobs have so much health and you're just, but if you're doing a 7 or a 3, sometimes the mobs die and you still have cooldown left and you're just sitting there with cooldown spinning and you can't fully go through your rotation. You can't really get your, you can't really cycle through things the way that you need to. So I get it. On the one hand, I don't know, maybe some Mythic Plusers can leave a comment or jump on the Discord and say something about why this could possibly be a good thing for Season 2 to increase the health pool of the creatures. So yeah, I'm really genuinely curious. So yeah, jump on the Discord, AzerothUnitedPod.com, click on the link for Discord there, and yeah, tell me why this is something that Blizzard would do, because I'm trying to make sense of it, but as I'm talking about it, I'm just like, I don't see how this works unless you're just talking about the low level Mythic Plus. But most people aren't going to be spending very much time on there. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. In-game map coordinates have been added to the base UI in patch 12.1. So you're going to be able to have your map coordinates for player location and cursor location on the map, and it's going to show up. This is a long time coming. I mean, I remember reading comments on Thoughtbot where somebody would say, hey, where is this? And people would reply with just coordinates, which if you didn't have an add-on, didn't really do any good. So it's really good to see Blizzard putting stuff like this into the game. They are very serious about players not needing to have add-ons installed in order to play WoW. I think that's great. But, it's 2026. I feel like we could have gotten this a little bit sooner. Okay. And finally, an encrypted patch 12.1.5 build is now available on the vendor servers, which means that we should be getting a PTR for patch 12.1.5 shortly. Yeah, I mean, they're just trucking along. I fully expect that we're going to get an announcement in the next couple of weeks of patch 12.1.5, probably after the launch of 12.1, but yeah, it's out there and they have to go through and validate everything before they can put it on the actual PTR. So get ready for 12.1.5. We're going to be going through it all over again. All right, let's talk about what's going on this week in World of Warcraft. The bonus event for this week is the Arena Skirmish event. You're going to get the Sign of the Skirmisher buff. Honor gains from Arena Skirmishes increased by 50%. And you can pick up the quest The Arena Calls from Archmage Aethys Sunreaver and Silvermoon to win 10 Arena Skirmish battles and be rewarded with 110 Conquest and 2,000 Honor. This is by far my least favorite bonus event. I don't know that I've ever actually done the quest, because to do 10 Arena Skirmish, no. It's not just do 10, you have to win 10. Forget that. No, thank you. I'll pass. But yeah, that's the bonus event for this week. The other bonus event for this week is, because we still have Turbulent Timeways going, 2 more weeks of that, is the Burning Crusade Time Walking. You're going to get the Sign of the Twisting Nether buff. Burning Crusade reputation gains from combat and quests increased by 50%. And you can pick up the quest A Burning Path Through Time from Archmage Aethys Sunreaver and Silvermoon to defeat 5 Time Walking raid bosses or dungeons, and you'll be rewarded with a Hero Track raid item. You can also pick up the quest Disturbance Detected Black Temple from Formu and Shatrath City to defeat Illidan Stormrage and loot the time-warped Illidari battle plans, and you'll be rewarded with a Hero Track TBC era raid item. So they'll just take that item and scale it up to midnight item levels. The time walking raid is the Black Temple, obviously. I'm looking forward to that, actually. I'm pretty excited to run it to just refresh me before we get Black Temple in TBC Anniversary. The dungeons are Magister's Terrace, Mana Tombs, the Blood Furnace, Botanica, Shattered Halls, and the Underbog. So, yeah, go check that out. I gotta say, I always get Botanica, which it takes forever. And I always get Shattered Halls, and there's never a rogue, so we always have to take the path down by the slimes. Magister's Terrace is actually really fun, because that one's fast. Blood Furnace, also really fast. You can just group those guys up and just AoE everything down. So some of those TBC dungeons are a little long, like Underbog is a little long, but it's not annoying. It's just you have to go a long distance. So it's kind of frustrating. But anyway, yeah. TBC time walking. So yeah, go do that. And this is the only one this time for Turbulent Timeways that has the opportunity for you to get 2 hero track items from it. So if you've got an alt, or if you're like me and you don't have full hero track, definitely do your Burning Crusade time walking. You don't have to do the dungeons. You could just do the raid and you'll complete both quests. Just make sure you loot Illidan at the end and get your time warped Illidari battle plans, and you will complete both quests. So there you go. The PvP brawl for the week is Gravity Lapse. Gravity getting you down. Step into the Eye of Storm and prepare for a whole new enlightening experience. Every minute, players on the battlefield will find themselves launched into the air, only to gently fall toward the ground again in a perpetual area ballet as they try to accrue enough resources to take the win home for their team. Yeah, and this one's a lot of fun because you go in there and you're floating around, and then all of a sudden the gravity turns back on and you plummet to the ground, so you don't want to be too high up. It's like when you're fighting Kael'thas and he throws you up in the air, and you got to get moved back down to the ground, because if you're all the way up there and he turns gravity back on, you are dead. So yeah, or in the case of Eye of the Storm, you don't want to be floating over the Nether, because then you'll just fall into nothingness. So yeah, that's no fun. When you zone in, you'll get the quest Something Different to win a PvP brawl, and you'll be rewarded with Conquest, Honor, and Marks of Honor. As I mentioned before, Turbulent Timeways is still going. This is week 5. Only one more week after this. So yeah, hopefully you've been doing your achievements. I think I should get mine done this week, so that'll be really cool. I'll get my Spawn of Vyranoth mount on both of my accounts, so very much looking forward to that. But yeah, Burning Crusade this week, Dragonflight again next week, and then patch 12.1. So that'll wrap it up. Kind of a nice, neat little package, almost like they planned it this way. Other events going on this week. We have Trial of Style. Dust off those pauldrons and compete in a fashion competition of Azerothian proportions. Speak to a transmogrifier NPC in any major city. Participate in the Trial of Style. It's going to run from August 1st to August 8th. And on my in-game calendar, it says 12 p.m. to 12 p.m. I'm not sure if that's just reset or what. I struggle with the in-game calendar. I feel like it's just so hard to read and so inaccurate. But it's from August 1st to August 8th. So just make sure you get it done before the 8th. Don't wait till the last minute, because then your timing might be off. Sorry, Dave. And then finally, the Darkmoon Fair is in town. So that will be here on August 2nd, Sunday, August 2nd, and it will run through August 8th. So make sure you get in there, do your profession quests, get your XP and reputation buff, collect your prize tickets, get shot out of the cannon, and go check out the concert, do all the stuff at the fair. I love the Darkmoon Fair, but most importantly, do your profession quest, get your free knowledge points, get your free skill points if you haven't maxed out your professions. It's worth it. And that's what's going on this week in World of Warcraft. We're going to move on now to the main topic of the week.
It's time for the main topic of the week.
So, if you've followed this controversy at all, because I know I did. I found myself going through and watching this whole situation surrounding the Nightman and the Red Empire. The details aren't important. There was some arguing, people were being toxic, and I'm not really interested in dissecting who's right and who's wrong and who should have reacted in a certain way and this person shouldn't have overreacted. But what it did make me think about is something we've all probably experienced at one point or another, and that's toxicity in online gaming. I don't know who hasn't experienced this in some capacity. And some of us may not even realize when people are being toxic to us because we're just moving about and going about our business and not really paying attention to the world raging around us. But it does happen. But I don't want to get into the details of the drama. The drama just kind of sparked me to talk about this topic because this is important to me. This is something that means something to me personally. And I do feel very strongly about that. So let's dive into it. I don't want to get preachy. I don't want to be lectury. I just want to have a conversation about toxicity in gaming and just in online interactions in general. So let's start off with, what is toxicity? Is it trash talking, harassment, raging, elitism, gatekeeping, personal attacks, excluding people? I firmly believe that healthy competition is not toxic. Constructive criticism is not toxic. Wanting to have a competent group is not toxic. I see that all the time. Oh, these people are being toxic. No, they just want to have a good group. But the way we communicate is what informs on whether or not something is toxic. If you're doing it in a constructive and polite way, somebody might perceive it as toxic just because they don't get the results that they want. And that's unfortunate, but it does happen. But knowing how to talk to other players and knowing how to interact with people. I've PvP'd a lot in WoW. I've done a lot of PvP. And I've seen a lot of toxicity. I've seen a lot of people just being mad and that's, or frustrated, and that's to be expected. But like I said, healthy competition is not toxic. PvP by its very nature is not toxic, but there's something different about losing to another person versus losing to a boss. You wipe to the boss and you go, okay. You lose to another person, that's a different reaction. And it's going to give you a different perspective on what you're doing. Really what it boils down to is, how do you respond to it? Are you a good loser? Are you a polite winner? You know, I've seen lots of people doing various celebrations over the years, and you know, I'll take one example that to me, I always felt really strongly about. You see all these guys in the NFL, every time they score a touchdown, they've got a different dance. They're throwing the ball, they're dropping the ball, they're trying to be too cool for school. They've got all these things that they do. Look how cool I am, I just scored a touchdown. And then you have Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders would score a touchdown, and what would he do? Did he dance? Did he spike the ball? Did he throw it into the stands? No, he handed it to the ref and moved on because he was doing his job. He just went, he scored, and moved on with his life. You know, the phrase "act like you've been there," that's literally describing Barry Sanders. That's what he did. He acted like he done. I do this all the time. I score touchdowns. I don't need to celebrate. This is just what I do. And you know, whether or not he was a cocky dude, I don't know. I never met him, but he never gave that appearance. And I think that is something, and it's not to say that you can't celebrate. Go ahead, celebrate, have your fun. But there's something to be said for just kind of saying, hey, I won. Okay, moving on. Feel good about yourself, feel good about what you did. You won a PvP duel. Maybe you did a mock Gora on hardcore and you are so excited about it. Yeah, That's great. But as soon as you turn that in from I'm really proud of myself to now I'm going to shame you for losing, that's when it turns toxic. That's when it crosses a line that says, this is no longer about you feeling good about yourself. This is now about you trying to put down someone else who lost. And so, and by the same token, if you lose a PvP duel, even like I said, a Mak'gora, or you're just standing outside of the inn in Goldshire, or you're in a battleground, or you're leveling in Stranglethorn Vale on a PvP server, if you lose, you don't need to call somebody out for being a jerk just because they killed you. You're on a PvP server. There's a reason why I don't roll on PvP servers. I do not want to be in that situation where I feel like I have to worry about, oh God, I am not in the mood to PvP, but somebody else might be. And because I rolled on a PvP server, I chose that. I chose that life. And anybody that does roll on a PvP server in Classic, they know. Or if you enable War Mode on Modern WoW, you do that intentionally. And sure, there's always going to be the chance of somebody who rolls on a PvP server because their friends were there and they didn't understand what it meant. Okay. But you still have a choice to say, I don't want to play here anymore. I'm going to move to a PvE server, or as Blizzard labels them, a normal server, and play there instead because I do like the game, but I don't like being killed by players. Okay, there you go. Solved. That's not a complicated take on it. Now, obviously, there's more to it than that. There's the social aspect of it, which, like I said, all your friends are on a PvP server, or sometimes people feel like PvP servers are the real, air quote, real servers, and not just the, that's the true experience. I actually was reading a Reddit post about that where people were arguing about whether or not World PvP is the true vanilla WoW experience. I don't think it is. But it definitely has a much bigger part in vanilla WoW than it does in any other version of the game. So, I don't know. But at its core, PvP is not just a WoW thing. This is every game where there's multiplayer has the capacity for some level of PvP. I shouldn't say every game. Most games do. I've played a lot of PvP games over the years, and I don't really do that anymore. I played EVE Online for years, and EVE Online, it's a spaceship MMO. It's a lot of fun. The game itself is actually really well designed, but the end game is all PvP. There is no PvE end game. We're not going to go raid a giant alien or anything like that. No, you just go fight another fleet of players, and that's what you do. There was a group of us in the corporation that I was in. We would get together, 5 or 6 people, go out on patrol, and just look for people that weren't in our group. And if we found them, we'd kill them. That's it. That's what we did. That's how we played the game. There was no, we've got to do these objectives. No, that was it. We would just fly around and joke around on Discord, and until we found somebody like, oh, who's this guy? And you pick them up on your scanner, and you track them down, and you scramble their warp core, and you kill them. And it wasn't malicious. We were just, that was the game. That's what you did. I remember I had one experience, my first experience with a PvP death in EVE Online. I just got my brand new battle cruiser. I was so proud of myself. I flew off and I thought I'm going to go into, this more dangerous part of space. And so I did. And a couple of jump gates in, and there was somebody there waiting for me who had a bigger ship with lots of rockets, and he sent me to a grave, and I lost my battle cruiser, and I was so upset. Thing about EVE Online is that it keeps track of all of your interactions. Every time you die, even if you don't die to a player, if you die to what we call rats, so it's like pirates in pirate NPCs in some of these systems. They're very weak, but if you get overwhelmed by them, you could still die and lose your ship. So it keeps track of that. And so I went onto the log, and I found the interaction where this person killed me, and I looked them up, and I said, okay, who is this person? Found them in game, sent them a message, and said, hey, you know what? I was inexperienced. I went out there. I shouldn't have, but what can I do to get better at PvP? And he explained it to me. He's like, oh, you got to do this and get this kind of ship, and you got to do these things. And instead of being a jerk about it and being like, haha, nub, you idiot. No, he just said, hey, okay, you want to learn? I will teach you. And he gave me a bunch of pointers and it helped. And that was it. That was the whole interaction. No gloating, no yelling, no screaming, no insults, just a friendly chat. I lost and I came to him as a, respectful loser, and he handled it like a decent winner. It was great. I loved that. I've had plenty of interactions in EVE Online that weren't that friendly, that were very toxic. It happens. League of Legends, Valorant. Oh my gosh, Valorant. So many negative interactions, but this isn't about specific interactions. This is about these types of behaviors and how they proceed. Depending on my mood, if I was more angry because of frustrated with the game or frustrated with my performance or with my teammates, things would get more toxic. And I'm not saying my anger created the toxicity. What I'm saying is that I was more ready for it. So when somebody would say something that I didn't like, I was ready to fight them. Versus if I'm in a good mood and I'm just chilling, vibing, enjoying the evening, and somebody says something, it's easier to laugh it off. It's the same way that if you're in traffic and somebody cuts you off, if you're in a good mood, you're just gonna be like, okay, buddy, I guess you get to go first. If you're not in a good mood, you're gonna get pissed. You're gonna honk your horn. You're gonna try and swerve around them, slam on your brakes. You're PvPing. You're literally PvPing in a $30,000 car. Congratulations. So it happens. It happens in life all the time. And, in this example that we started with the Nightman and that whole drama, the PvP expanded beyond the game and went into Discord and into Twitch chats and all of these other places that it didn't need to. It didn't need to go there because at the end of the day, it doesn't. The only way that these people are going to be satisfied is if they get a response. And that response is what feeds them. It gives them their fuel to keep going. Why do these things happen? Why are people toxic? And the honest truth is, if you're competing, if you're in a competition of any sort, it doesn't even have to be PvP related. It can be any type of competition where you're competing against other people. Winning matters. And some people are more competitive than others, and that's fine, but it does matter. Even if we're competing with each other or together, where, like, for example, in my raid group, we're going to go and start wiping on bosses in Mount Hyjal and Black Temple. And the first few times it's fine. We're all going to laugh about it and have a good time and learn the strats and talk through. And, our raid leader's going to give us, okay, everyone be quiet. Let me talk. We'll get a couple of those and it'll be fine. But if it went on for 3 hours, our entire raid, and we just wiped all night, that's when it starts to get a little frustrating and people start to call each other out. People start nitpicking other people's performance. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't do those things, but that's what leads to more toxic behavior. And you know what? Nobody likes to admit when they make a mistake. Nobody likes that. You do it. Sometimes you go, you know what? I'm going to own up to this. I made that mistake. I messed up the poll. I used my cooldown incorrectly, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, nobody wants to do that all the time. Nobody wants to, because if you're constantly admitting your faults and nobody else's, now you look like an idiot. And that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel good to anyone. So what ends up happening is when you start getting frustrated and when people start getting angry, then they start calling people out. And it's a lot easier to call out people who you don't actually know. Well, you're just some random person on the internet. Maybe you don't even talk. Maybe you talk just a little bit on Discord. It's really easy to just start making that and turn it nasty. Calling people out, saying, you should have done this. Why didn't you do that? What's wrong with you? You're an idiot. It goes really quick. And a friendly group of people can turn toxic if they're not careful. It's not something that there are toxic people out there. Anyone can be toxic. There are people who are more toxic out there, for sure. And there are people who choose to be toxic intentionally. I like to call them trolls, but whatever you want to call them, they do that for a reason, because they're trying to get a reaction. They're trying to get a rise out of people. So if you've ever been in a guild that fell apart, there can be a lot of reasons for that. People quit because they're tired of progging. People quit because maybe they got yelled at one too many times. Maybe whatever the reasons are. I was in a guild, the War Within Season 1, and it didn't go well. There were people in there who were not carrying their weight, and me and the other tank tried very hard. And I talked about this with Bear King a few months ago. Actually, it was almost a year ago that I talked to him, where we tried really hard to go to guild leadership and say, here's where we're struggling, and this is a problem. And they didn't listen. They didn't want to hear from us. They kind of, we'll work through it. It didn't get worked through. It didn't get addressed. And it blew up. And you know what? I'm not immune. I preach this really heavily to be considerate and to look out for one another. But you know what? I'm not perfect. I am going to say things, and I did call people out, and I did feel bad about that. It happens. People are human. And they're going to make mistakes, and they're going to have limits, and it's hard. And so the only thing that you can do when you're in a situation like that is leave, is pull yourself out of it. Because if you stay in it and and you're just testing yourself, how hard can I get pushed before I push back? You don't need to put yourself in that situation. I'm not saying just leave because things get hard. I'm saying that you need to know your limits. You need to know your own limits and what you are capable of. And I'm not saying you specifically. People need to understand that. That's something that, by and large, WoW players don't do, or just gamers in general don't do. They don't know their limits. They think they can do all these things, or they think they are capable of doing whatever. I know my limits. And honestly, in a lot of cases, I undervalue myself in terms of gaming, because I don't want to be put into a situation where I am the underperformer and other people feel like they have to carry me. I hate that. I really do. I try really hard to perform in raids, and I'm not the number one DPS, not by a long shot, but I'm not one of the worst. So, I'm doing my best, and yeah, I'm never going to be that great player who's a min-maxer who, I'm playing a hunter. I'm never going to melee weave. There's no way. But I do enough to say I'm competent and I can contribute to this guild. But, I try not to point out where others are not contributing. Because honestly, it doesn't really matter. That's not my job. That's not my role. Maybe we all need to ask ourselves that question. Have I been toxic in the past? And maybe that's a really unfair question to ask. Have you ever been impatient and snapped at someone in voice comms? Or jumped down another player's throat? Or called somebody out on their logs in Discord? Have you ever done those things? Have you ever insulted somebody by calling them a name because you didn't like what they did in game? These things seem small, and you go, well, it was just this one time. That's exactly how it starts. And not to say that everyone's toxic all the time, but it's easy to get comfortable with that. And now you feel like you can just say whatever it is that you want to say. So it's important for all of us to look inward and say, what am I doing? Am I contributing to this? Am I feeding into it? And on the other end, if somebody else is doing those things, can we avoid reacting to them. If somebody's being toxic to you, and you say, okay, and move on. Like I said, that guy cuts you off in traffic. Okay. You're choosing now what to do. And if you are saying, well, he started it, does it matter? Does it matter? Is he threatening you? No, he just cut you off. So you're going to lose the freeway race. Oh no. You know, at the end of the day, what does it matter? You're going to get home 3 seconds later than you would have otherwise. Okay. That's where we need to really look at ourselves. You know, is if somebody's raging at other people, can you say, all right, well, I'm just going to let that go. Now, if you are witnessing a situation, let's say you're in a 5-player group and you're doing a dungeon, a Mythic Plus or Heroic, whatever it is, and somebody's being abusive towards other players in the group, somebody in your guild, I don't feel like it's inappropriate for you to go to a guild officer and say, hey, this person was being a little inappropriate. I don't think they were trying to be toxic, but I think it's worth just reminding them that they do represent our guild and blah, 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 whatever you're going to say. It doesn't have to be something big. It doesn't need to be a big deal. And you don't even need to say anything, but you can. And every time we do that sort of thing, it matters and it helps. It helps to calm down, because sometimes people do that and they're not trying to be mean. They're not trying to rage, but things slip. Maybe somebody had a few drinks and they're a little bit looser on the tongue than they would have been otherwise. Doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means that, you know, they're going to let loose with a few more, zingers than they would have otherwise. So just remember the small things. Thank your tank. Thank your healer. Explain the mechanics instead of saying, how come you don't know this? Do admit it when you messed up. You don't need to admit every single mistake, but if there's a wipe at 2% because you messed something up, own it. Say, oh, you know what? I'm sorry. That's my fault. That's my bad. That's okay. You don't need to detail every mistake that you make. Nobody wants to hear that. But if you just own up right away and you go, that was my fault, I'm sorry, people will accept it and move on. Leave gracefully. You know, when you're leaving a group, even if it was a rough run, maybe you had a hard time, you can still say, thanks for the group. You don't need to say good group. You don't need to say, hey, good run. You can say, thank you for the group. That's it. It's polite. It's considerate. It's going to leave people with a good memory of you. But you're honest. You're honest with yourself. Even if it wasn't a good group, you can still say thank you. And just remember that that's a person. Every single one of those players, that's a real person sitting there, and they have real feelings. So, let's come back to the initial incident here with Nightman and his whole drama with this guild. It's really important to remember that not everyone has everyone's best intentions at heart. Some people are trying to be malicious. They want that reaction. They want that negativity. And this whole situation just reminded me of why this matters, because you know what? Like I said, I don't know all the ins and outs and details, but just from what he said himself, Nightman, he didn't handle the situation very well. And I think that that's important to remember, is that even if somebody is coming after you and is raging at you, it's okay to just back off and let them get it all out of their system and move on. Don't give them the satisfaction of knowing that they got a rise out of you. Move on. Don't fight back. What is that going to get you? What did it get him? Got him a whole lot of pain. Every week I end this show by saying there's a real person behind that keyboard. And I don't say it because it sounds nice. I say it because I think it's easy to forget. So do remember to be good to each other all the time. You don't have to lie. You don't have to say things that aren't true, but try to be a good person. Try to be... Think about it this way. When people remember you in Azeroth, in whatever capacity, what do you want them to remember about you? Were you the player that helped? the raid leader who taught, the tank who stayed after everyone left, the guildmate who happily welcomed all the new players? Or were you just another angry voice in guild chat or in Discord? I think it's really important for us to take stock of who we are and who we want to be remembered as. All right, that's going to wrap up our show for today. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I do appreciate it. As always, this is a meaty topic, and I was trying really hard not to get preachy, and I think I did there a little bit at the end. But you know what? It's important for us all to remember that, because no matter how good we are, when we're interacting with the world, it's easy to just get caught up in that petty little squabbles and that behavior. And it's just, honestly, it sucks. It really just sucks. So try your best to to be good and be kind to other players. And I really take that seriously. And yes, I'm not perfect. I do make mistakes. And that's why I always sign my show off that way, because I do make mistakes, and it's just as much for me as it is for all of you. So anyway, thank you again for listening. If you are enjoying the podcast and you like to help us out, you could consider joining our Patreon. Patreon is where people go and give their IRL money to help out with the production costs of the show. It's always great to know that people do care and appreciate it. I'm trying to expand the Patreon. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and so I'm working on a few things right now, but nothing to announce just yet. But hopefully we'll have something within the next couple weeks. Maybe by BlizzCon we'll have that available. So we will see. So there are 3 different tiers within our BlizzCon within our Patreon. There's the free tier that you can just get on there and see what's going on. We also have 2 paid tiers. We have our standard tier and our friend of the show tier. I do want to thank our friend of the show patrons right now. That's Stuglife, Thelial, Greybeard, Raven, Azerin, and Luch. Thank you all so much. You definitely help make Azeroth United possible. And thank you to all of our patrons for being part of it. So I really appreciate it. The other way that you can help us out is if you wanted to leave a 5-star rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Those really help out with the distribution of the podcast and the showing up on the different feeds. It's tough out there. There's a lot of really big WoW podcasts, and we're kind of a little small fish here. So every little bit helps. So if you could leave a rating, that would be great. If you want to leave a review, I'll read it on the air. And if you are listening or watching this on YouTube, you can help us out by giving us a like and a subscribe, and leave a comment or just an emoji in the chat, just for engagement, whatever you want. Just, every little bit helps and matters. So there you go. All right. Thank you again for listening. And as I said before, remember to be good to each other. That's a real person on the other side of that keyboard. So just be nice and smile. You don't need to be their friend, but don't engage. Don't get into arguments with people online. You're only ever going to lose that. You can never win an online argument, not in the long term. So just be nice and smile and have fun. We're playing a game. Okay, this is a game, and we're supposed to be having fun. So if you're not having fun, maybe try a different game, or do something. Read a book. Go for a walk. Pet your dog. Throw the tennis ball for your dog for a little while. That always makes me feel good. So, all right, take care. I love you all, and I'll see you in Azeroth.